And we're live. Welcome to the Lakers Late Night Podcast. I am Anthony Irwin. We are back for the second night in a row. In case you were sick of us before, bummer. We're right back in at it. I am joined again by Harrison Fagan. Again, for the second night in a row. We've put our feud aside. We take our shots in the media, but for the most part, we put work first. Harrison, how are you doing?
Fine.
Cool. So, all right. We have to start and take care of some business that we should have taken care of last night. It was a complete oversight on my part as the host. There was news yesterday that Craig Sager's cancer is no longer in remission, and he is now apparently his doctor gave him 3 to 6 months to live. That is cancer just effing sucks. There's no two ways about it. And while people are waxing poetic about the character he brought to the sidelines and all that good stuff, I just wanted to take time to just say everybody I've ever spoken to, and I have some people who know him away from the court, they all say that he is just incredibly genuine, and everything that you think he is and that you would hope he is, he's that and more. So from my end, fight to the end. That's all you can do. That's all you can hope for somebody to do. But I truly regret not saying something in last night's show. Do you have anything to add to that, Harrison?
I feel the same way. This is our level of production preparation. That fine one-word answer I gave you was a little bit of a tribute to Sager and Popovich's memorable back and forths that I should have told you I was going to do beforehand, because that could have been a fun bit, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, Sager, you just, everything that you said and more, he really, a lot of sideline reporters, and this isn't to take a shot at anyone specifically, but they just aren't that memorable. They don't, it's just, that could be anyone on the broadcast. And with Sager, you never felt that way. He really added character to it, and he was part of what made TNT one of the most unique and successful NBA broadcasts, ever. I think really it's just unique, and it's fun, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. And Sager was a big part of that.
Right. At the end of the day, I think a lot of times we lose track, or we lose sight sometimes, of the fact that this is an entertainment industry. When it comes down to it, it is, when you watch a basketball
Lakers Suns made a solid argument against that tonight, but
but when you watch a basketball game on TV, or you watch a post-game show and all that good stuff, you kind of lose sight sometimes, especially us in this industry, because we have to analyze it and read between the lines, and it's really easy to lose sight of that. This is actually entertainment. And what I thought Craig did, or what his best attribute was, that it was entertainment, but he was also incredible at his job. I thought his questions were always on point. He was never afraid to ask any question. I thought it's kind of ironic, actually, that this LeBron stuff that blew up, shouts to Tom Fear, as he likes to remind me, that's how you pronounce his name. But Tom posted that Vine of LeBron getting asked the question about his Twitter stuff. Sager would have asked that with no caveat, with nothing leading into the question. He would have just, hey, what gives? This is going to create a problem. What's going on here? Whereas, it's hard not to, I don't want to say lose respect for, but it's hard not to notice the, hey, I'm sorry, I don't want to ask this, but I kind of have to. And here's this as soft a question as I can possibly turn this into, and blah, 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 blah,
blah. Please don't get mad at me.
Exactly.
That's how, when I'm credentialed, I preface all of my questions is Byron, please don't get mad at me, but
And then Byron gets mad anyways. It's because he just knows you're soft. I think that's what's going on there.
I mean, he's not wrong.
So yeah, just again, I can't say enough. I can't apologize enough for not bringing this up last night. I completely take ownership for it. And actually, on my post game notes, I have Sager in big bold print that I should have seen.
That's
But
what I'm saying. You had it last night. We talked about it before the show, and then I think we got so caught up in the Nick Young, Jordan Clarkson stuff that we ended up ending the show.
Right. So get fight to the very end, Sager.
I think everybody that's ever watched an NBA game is rooting for him.
Exactly. And if I had a crazy suit to wear, I would be wearing it right now. But I don't.
Yeah, I really wish we could have made that happen.
Yeah, SB Nation, come on, guys, get the budget together. The list continues.
I'm in trouble now.
So, all right, moving on. And again, get well soon, Sager. But moving on to the actual game tonight, we are here to talk about the Lakers and Suns facing off tonight. The Lakers wind up scoring 107 points again, as they did last night, but it winds up not being enough as they give up 119 points to the Phoenix Suns in the desert in Kobe's last game there in Phoenix. And I know we were going to go a different way from the get-go, but I realized something while the game was going on and while Kobe was walking off the court. I didn't anticipate the level of emotion that came about, from Kobe's last game in Phoenix. They're really an underrated rival, I would say. They obviously aren't historically as great as the Celtics are, and they aren't nearly as crazy as Lakers Kings got. But the Lakers and Suns kind of had that weird relationship thing going when Nash was in his prime and Kobe still almost beat them. They got them to 3-1, then had that weird dynamic there. Were you taken aback? Because I was pretty taken aback by, holy crap, this is his last. He's walking off Phoenix's court for the last time ever.
Yeah, I think that it is, like you said, it's an underrated rivalry, and I think that it's one that he really appreciated. I couldn't find the exact quote just now when I was looking when you brought that up, but I believe he said before that he considers them one of his greatest rivals. I think around the time when the Lakers acquired Nash, he said that. Because they were the older brother that was beating up on him in those kind of crappy mid 2000 Laker teams before they traded for Powell, and Bynum had his ascendance, but it was basically just Kobe and Lamar and Smush Parker trying to make something happen. And Kobe dragged those teams by, the skin of his teeth to 45 wins a year or whatever in a first round matchup with the Suns 2 years in a row. And so, yeah, I think that he did kind of take that rivalry personally, because that's one of the few teams that beat him consistently in the playoffs.
And then, he winds up getting his I'm terrible at this, but he winds up beating them, right, in the series where he beat, he slapped Gentry on the butt, and they wound up winning the.
Great.
That's a top 5 Kobe moment in my opinion.
That was right when he started to turn a little. I think that was the first signs that there was going to be like a lovable joking around Kobe at some point in his career, because before that, I don't remember him doing a whole lot of that.
Well, he was always pardon my French, shit talker, but he was never. That was,
that was just like all in good fun. Just exactly. Like I'm gonna mess with you in the middle of a game. Like
what Kobe would do, or the kind of crap that Kobe would talk, was the kind that you just kind of, if you were the person on the receiving end of that, it keeps you up at night. Like, man, how are you gonna bring that up, Kobe?
Yeah,
But with that one. And even that, I would imagine Alvin Gentry, he was smiling there, but on the inside, he was screaming, right?
On the inside, he was Sam Mitchell. Just, I'm glad I don't have to face that guy again.
So, yes, I think part of the thing with, I wouldn't say emotional. I don't think I really get emotional about this whole farewell tour until the bitter end. But this was the closest where you kind of caught you like, whoa, and credit to Billy Mack. He shut up and let the ovation speak for itself. I probably could have said that better.
Credit to Billy Mack for shutting his mouth.
Vince Scully
Just add it to the list. Add it to the list. We need to start making the feud list on the side of people that we're starting beef with.
But Vince Scully said it pretty eloquently, not last year, but the year before, when Yasiel Puig was just ripping off some of the best baseball that you'll ever really see, and it kind of the penultimate moment came when Puig winds up hitting, I think it was like a grand slam or a homer or something like that. And as he's going back to the dugout, Vince Scully says sometimes the best job a play-by-play can do, or a play-by-play guy can do, is just shut up and let the moment speak for itself. And I thought tonight Billy Mack did a really good job of that.
Yeah, when there's a standing ovation, I think that's kind of broadcast 101, and he did like a great job of doing it. Like some guys, they're so full of themselves, they continue to talk over it, and Billy Mack didn't do that tonight, which was great because it was basically a preview of Kobe's final home game at Staples Center with how many Lakers fans were in the crowd in Phoenix tonight.
Billy might not say a word that entire telecast. It's just going to be one steady standing ovation.
I mean, it really might be. That game is going to be bonkers.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to record a show that night because, one, I'll be lit, and two, I'll be lit. And three,
I guess it's sober up.
Oh man. But yeah, tonight, and I think also as we get closer to this, right, we're within a dozen games left. We have 11 games left of Kobe's career, and each one of these games, you're kind of like, oh man, that the end is in sight. And I think over an 82 game season and the farewell tour stretching over much of this season, it was pretty easy to lose sight of, wow, we only have a month left. We only have a month left.
Yeah, I think all of us got caught up at times in, making fun of him, or, he was playing bad and you're complaining about it. He's playing over the young guys. But at the end of the day, this is a guy that gave, 15, 16 really, really good amazing years to the Lakers franchise. And, down the home stretch now, especially when it doesn't really look like the results of the games are going to matter a whole lot, either for tanking position, now that they lost both of these to Phoenix. I just, it's probably safe to just start cheering for them at this point.
Yep, completely agree. Back to where we were actually going to go with the game coverage. You mentioned the tank. Like you said, this pretty much solidifies at least the 2 spot. I don't know. I think
the 1 spot is out of reach too. Philadelphia has 9 wins and they lost on a half-court buzzer beater tonight. While a guy that they cut this year scored 65 points in the D-League. Philadelphia is just on another level of tanking.
Teach us your ways, Philly. And remember when Colangelo went over there? And it was, oh my God, he's gonna.
They traded 2 over there. Conditional second rounders for Ish Smith. They're in win now mode.
Nope. Still not even in double digits.
They're in win 12.5% of their games mode.
Oh man, Philly, trust that process. So
yes, the Lakers are 6.5 back of them with 11 games to play. So I feel pretty safe declaring that they're not moving up, at least in terms of positioning. And both Phoenix and so Brooklyn/Boston, Brooklyn's pick goes to Boston, is 5.5 games back of the Lakers, or 4.5 games back of the Lakers. I'm bad at math. Yes, 4.5 games back of the Lakers. And Phoenix is a full 5 games back of the Lakers.
Yeah, the Lakers are going to wind up in that 2 spot, which, I mean,
if they don't, blame Anthony because he just jinxed it. Everybody, don't come in my mentions with that.
Jump in my mentions, I dare you. No, don't, please don't. Especially that one show. that ghost guy can go to.
Okay. All right.
The Lakers again. They wind up losing by 12 tonight. Julius Randle. You mentioned it before we went on the air, and I'm kind of wondering what's kind of going into the analysis of Julius, but you were saying that he was taking the brunt of some criticism tonight, but you look at his numbers, 19, 15 on 7 of 14 shooting, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. He had 4 turnovers and 5 fouls, but
the 4 turnovers were all in the first half, and yeah, they were sloppy. Was he perfect tonight? No, not by any means. But I think that there's almost been this rush to pick him apart all of a sudden lately, it seems like. And is he a black hole at times? Definitely. But last night, I thought he had a career high 5 assists, so it's a really easy point to make. But I thought it might have been the best passing game of his career. It wasn't even the fact that they were resulting in assists. He was just moving. He was making quick decisions. He was attacking quickly or he was passing quickly. He wasn't just kind of standing there pausing very much like he loves to do at the elbow. And so I thought that, did that result in a couple sloppy turnovers tonight? Yeah, the Suns were all over the passing lanes tonight for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, he's going to grow, I think. Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, it's his first year. He's been the best player on every other team he's ever played on. Of course, he's going to have a tendency to look for his shot a little bit more. I think that that's the kind of thing you almost have to wait on and hope that he grows out of and learns to be just a little bit of a better passer. Because if that can happen, then his ceiling as a member of the Lakers core goes from kind of bench player to really solid starter. Because if he never really learns to pass, then you almost have to think that he becomes more of that 6-man role down the line, like a really good energy big. But if he he has to become an incredible offensive scorer to justify being a starter if he doesn't get any better as a passer. But he's basically in his first year. I really think that he's done about as much as you can hope for from him. Don't you? And I thought that you had a good point that you think you had a nice theory that is some of that because people are trying to talk themselves out of him because of the possibility of Simmons and then necessitating a Randle trade.
Right. And yeah, it's kind of like that girlfriend you at the very end you say I'm better off without her, and then that winds up not being the case necessarily. And the thing that lends it I have not. Sakura is in the back room, but we why do I do this? With Simmons being such a great passer, it's really easy to kind of look at that and say, this is a lacking part of his game. And yes, it obviously is a lacking part of his game. And like you said, he's a rookie for the most part until the very end of his career. This is as bad a player as Julius Randle will ever be, right? This is how being a rookie goes, is when you're watching them right now and you think of things that they can add to their game, generally speaking, they add at least parts of those things to their game. And I would much rather start
unless you're Dion Waiters.
Unless you're Dion Waiters. We're still waiting on that. But with Randle, I'd like to start where we're starting with Randle, where he is a very good rebounder. He can get out in transition and handle the ball there. Now, does he make the best decisions in transition? No, but
his decision is usually go straight towards the rim. It doesn't matter who's in my way. And so sometimes that results in him knocking someone down and getting a foul. Sometimes it results in him getting to the rim. Sometimes it results in him showing the veteran mentorship of Roy Hibbert and ending up on the floor. It can go a lot of different ways. It's always an adventure when he gets out in transition. Right.
So I think for Randle, and I'm not even completely sold on Simmons. There are some out there who are vastly more sold on Simmons than I am. But I think that comparison between the two guys, and saying as the Lakers might have an opportunity to draft Simmons, that I think is where this is coming from. And they're showing Randle highlights right now. And I don't know of many guys his size who can go out in transition and do the things he can.
Yeah,
You
he's
know?
really a unique player, and the sky is kind of the limit for him.
And I kind of think when you're looking at people to build around, if you have somebody who is somewhat singular in the things that they're able to do on a basketball court, that's not a terrible place to start from. And that's where the Lakers are starting from with Randle, and they can continue to build upward with that. Now, if the Lakers are in a position to draft Simmons, then you rethink it. But for right now, overly criticizing Randle because of the possibility of maybe getting somebody who might not necessarily be exponentially better or better by any notable degree, I just that doesn't make any sense to me. Just as from an analyzing basketball perspective, let alone from a fan perspective of somebody who you should probably be rooting for to succeed. And I think that's what people sometimes
It's
side
just
of.
the way that it almost feels personal, the way that some people are picking him apart. It's like it's going a little far. He's not perfect, and he's essentially a rookie. Like that's fine. Like he's going to have his faults. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you were expecting him to go through what have the Lakers played? 70 games? Yeah, 70 games, 71 games.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and be the player that he's going to be when his career's over, then you better kind of hope that you were wrong. But that seems like an unreasonable expectation that you expected like people expected him to have all of his growth that he's ever going to make this season.
Right. So we stand where we stand on.
And hey,
Randle.
he could not develop. That's totally a possibility. But I mean, I think that there's no reason to be killing him right now.
From your dealings with him, does he seem like the kind of guy who might not go out of his way to add stuff to his game?
I wouldn't say that I have enough dealings with him to really go one way or the other on that. Gotcha. Yeah, although I mean, I could speak for other people's reporting that say that he does work incredibly hard, but I can't. My personal experience with him is fairly minimal. He is a guy that hates to lose, hates it. That like he gets. I think is that people joke that he never smiles, and he will smile in a post-game locker room if the Lakers won. If the Lakers lost, you're getting 3-word answers, at best, the entire press conference. He hates to lose more than I hate anything, I think.
More than you hate my puns?
Oh, vastly more. I'll still talk to you.
Fair point. So that's I think I like that you pointed out that I think the criticism has become somewhat personal and it needs to improve a little bit. Just the analysis of him needs to improve. And until that point, he is a Laker. Get used to it, because the chances of one, the Lakers moving up in the draft to pick Simmons, or two, finding a trade that actually is fair value for somebody of his age are pretty slim. So for right now, just deal with the guy.
Does he know what it means to be a Laker?
I hate you so much. All right. So, is there anything else that you wanted to add on Randle?
No, I just think that I think we hit it. We definitely we did enough of a breakdown, I think.
Yep, I would agree. So the next tidbit that I wanted to get to regarding the Lakers has to do with a couple updates on the Nick Young, Jordan Clarkson. I don't even want. Should we even call it a sexual harassment situation anymore?
We can call it sexual harassment allegations. I'd feel comfortable with. That's
cool. So we'll go with that. The sexual harassment allegation situation. The updates. Go ahead and walk us through the updates.
So today, Nick Young tweeted out a video that showed the accuser, Alexis Jones, the woman who accused Young and Clarkson of sexually harassing via inappropriate gestures and words, her and her, I believe, 68-year-old mother out of a car window. And then so she accused Young and Clarkson of that. And Young and Clarkson have been pretty kind of about as emphatic as they can be in their denials that that's what occurred. But they just, I think that they're trying to stay out of the media. It seems like, well, at least Clarkson seems to be trying to stay out of the media. Nick Young today tweeted out a video of Alexis Jones, again, the accuser, interviewing him and Jordan Farmar for a piece at I believe a USC local news type channel. I know that I think I read somewhere that she went to USC and worked around or in the athletic department at the same time that Young was there, which is why some people thought that the fact that she was saying she didn't even know them was a little bit unlikely. And so today Young sent out that video in which she interviews him with, I believe he said, but nobody knows me, in parentheses, the world we live in. And before that, he had like the questioning face emoji and the Nick Young meme with the video. And so it would appear that she did know who he was. And so I reached out to her for comment, and her public relations representative said, Alexa, and I quote, Alexis has spoken with hundreds of athletes throughout her career and did not immediately recognize Nick from the interview she conducted with him over a decade ago. However, once her followers identified him, she did recall the interview and immediately wanted to connect directly with him. If she had recognized him in the photo, she wouldn't have posted it. She would have gone directly to the team and to the guys to discuss the matter, end quote.
Okay.
So those are the updates that we have.
Right. So I guess I think there are two separate subjects or things to talk about in the situation, right? I think there's the actual circumstances that are going on. And at no point have I ever said that this is not a fishy situation, right? That she just happens to be an advocate for this stuff. And then you said something about, what was it? That it wasn't, was it a t-shirt? It's not a.
Well, so she had trademarked about a week or so before her Protect Her clothing brand, about a week or so before. And so, I mean, and again, that's not to say that there's no way she could have planned this out. Right. It's just all of the stuff kind of coming together. It's coming off a little weird.
Right. So okay. The where I want to start in this conversation, and this is kind of where I wanted to, or the points I was making. I was on Twitter today fighting off way more people than I thought I would have to. But I was talking a lot today about there's this instance, and then there is the general sentiment surrounding this type of instance. Right. It's
this culture where people automatically want to kind of disprove the victim.
Right. And yet people wonder sometimes why victims don't come forward when I'm seeing memes about her. And again, I'm not saying that Young did or did not do anything. There are holes in her story. But if Young did say anything that she found offensive, it is completely within her prerogative to find stuff offensive. Right. So, and that's the one thing about sexual harassment or sexual abuse, sexual verbal abuse. Like these things, the line is somewhat ambiguous dependent on the case and the victim, as it should be. Right. And what I thought today, or what I recursed at a little bit today was, well, why are we celebrating that there might be holes in her story? And I thought to a certain extent today, I saw some celebrating that the victim's story isn't 100% bulletproof, right? And
hey, I think that we should be clear here that at the end of the day, we want the facts out. And so if the facts completely exonerate Nick Young and Jordan Clarkson of any wrongdoing, then that's the right scenario here. And that's good. That's what I think everyone wants, is just for the truth to come out. Or I think what we want is for the truth to come out. And so whether or not, no matter who that paints in whatever light it may be.
And again, completely agree there too. And honestly, I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily rooting in one way or the other. I don't know if you can really root in any way in this kind of situation.
I mean, you root for the truth.
That's exactly it. Is that I'm not hoping that, you know, they wind up being proven that they did something dumb. I'm not hoping that they wind up proving that she made stuff up. That's not. I'm just, all I want is the actual truth. And unfortunately, in this situation, it doesn't seem like we'll ever get the 100% truth, because the video comes in a little late and it becomes a he said, she said kind of thing.
The fact that Clarkson turned away from the camera immediately when it turned on does kind of lead you to guess that maybe, you know, he was a little bit embarrassed by whatever that they were doing. And so did that trend into sexual harassment? I don't know that that's what we can say. I mean, we can't say that definitively, but I mean, at the very least, him and Young were not super proud of whatever that they were saying out that window.
Right. So I think the
and
point
so, hey,
I was making,
was it a case of road rage? Sorry to cut you off again, but what was it, a case of road rage where they were just yelling stuff that they wouldn't want on camera out the window, or was it more malicious than that? We don't know, and I think that that's the bottom line.
Right. I think that we don't know. The fact that we don't know should stop people from taking a hard stance one way or the other.
Yeah.
I asked a question today. Hey, even if she did know him at USC, right, that doesn't necessarily change what his behavior might have been.
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, it does hurt her credibility a little bit. And it also does, you know, what's unfortunate is now, you know, she's possibly setting these victims back a little bit with kind of these holes being poked in her story, because now it's, you know, like you said, victims might be afraid to come forward now.
I'm not saying
of stuff like this.
No, right.
Not that Young and Clarkson are going on a spree doing this to a bunch of people. Just that that's definitely not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the next victim in a case like this involving people of power or of some level of fame like this.
Right. What I was going to say is, and the tendency in cases like this, what I kind of see happens is, those who are already hoping, you know, because there is a situation where people hope for one way or the other, right? Especially in sports, where the people that you root for on a nightly basis, you don't want them to be monsters off the court.
Yeah. I mean, bottom line is there are people out there that don't want them off the court, even if they are monsters. Right. I think we've learned more so from the NFL than from the NBA.
I remember being incredibly distraught throughout Kobe's, you know, rape thing, because it's like, especially at the age that I was at, this guy was a hero. He was ripping off championships for my favorite basketball team, and he started with the Lakers right about the time that I really started focusing on basketball and really being cognizant of what was going on. But with this type of case, when you're talking about sports, you're talking about people who, as they go into a situation like this, are hoping to find those holes. And when you find those holes, then the criticism becomes really loud. Even if those holes, like whether or not she knew the guy in college, is somewhat peripheral, in my opinion. It's not, that isn't no,
that's obvious. That's not the main thing of the case, but it does a little bit, the fact that she was saying she didn't know him, and then, you know, it turns out it looks like she may have.
Sure, but I don't think that's any reason to drag her name through the mud at this point. I don't think we aren't there yet. And I don't think we'll ever get there, because I don't think the facts, like I said, the facts on this story will never come out. Just like I'm not willing to drag Nick Young's name through the mud here. I'm not going out there and saying that the Lakers need to cut him. I did say that the Lakers should consider getting Clarkson and Russell away from him a little bit, but that's for an entire, you know, that's for a grouping of reasons. But when it comes to the story, especially with victims of this kind of stuff, I think we need to create a culture where victims are more comfortable coming out with allegations like this than they are less comfortable. And obviously, you don't want athletes being taken advantage of. But if the alternative to that is victims wind up, falling back into the shadows because they're afraid to say anything publicly against professional athletes because the fans wind up, jumping all over them throughout social media, that's not the kind of culture that is productive in terms of where we need female male relations to get to. That isn't where we need to be going. And I thought today what kind of threw me off was a lot of the kind of stuff that sets those female male relations back a few years.
Yeah.
All right. So I sometimes get into these little rants or whatever. And
no, I mean, I think you made good points. I don't disagree.
All right. So again, we just kind of take it back to the game here. The Lakers, again, they wind up losing 107 to 119. I don't know how they give up 119 points to that Phoenix team, but I guess a lot of it is pace-based.
I said at one point the Lakers' only chance in that game was if Devin Booker's parents called him home for dinner.
He's going to be good. Booker's going to be really good.
Yeah, he is.
Really quick, before we wrap up, would you make a trade built around, Randle Clarkson for Booker, or Clarkson whatever for Booker, to make it work on, just pieces wise on the Lakers?
I don't know that I've watched enough of Booker to really totally decide which way I would go on pulling the trigger on that trade. But I think that given his production this year, at least from afar, reading about it and all of that stuff, I think it's something that you'd have to consider and look at. It's something you'd have to think about. I haven't watched him enough this year. I've been so consumed by covering the Lakers to definitively say yes or no, I would do it. But I think, again, it's something that you have to consider.
Yeah, I would like to, maybe we'll pose it on Twitter, ask, who says no, and see, get some of the arguments from each side as far as who says no, who blinks first in those kind of trade talks. Now, if you're Phoenix, there's no incentive to move a guy who is the youngest player in the NBA and he should be an all-rookie candidate, right? He should be a first-team all-rookie guy.
Booker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's making it.
Yeah, so you have the youngest player in the NBA, and he's an all-rookie guy. So there's no real incentive if you're Phoenix to make that move. But I'd be interested to see what people think about that. So add us about that. Don't add us about the other stuff in the show.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll do it for tonight's show. The Lakers do not play again, I believe, until Friday.
They play again on Friday. I do not remember off the top of my head who they play.
Neither do I. They play again on Friday. We may or may not have a show. I might be on the road at that point, just driving all over the place because
I will most likely not. Yeah, I will most likely not be available this Friday.
So we probably will not have a show, but maybe I'll try to record a podcast either tonight or tomorrow as a Lakers lounge. We haven't had a Lakers lounge in a while, so that you could hear some Lakers stuff.
Yeah, and since we're talking about our upcoming podcast schedule, I guess since I won't be here on Friday, I should say I will be at Staples Center on Sunday. So again, I will not be on a podcast on Sunday as well. So you guys can follow me on Twitter for updates from Staples on Sunday. Maybe D'Angelo will hit another half-court shot from his back. Follow me on Twitter to find out.
Make sure you tweet all the other misses before he makes that one shot.
I'm not gonna get into how many he missed.
All right, everybody. This was fun. This is always fun. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody for the comments and stuff when we do not have shows. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I apologize again for not talking about Craig Sager last night. I hope best wishes to him moving forward. And thanks, Harrison, for joining us tonight.
All right. Thanks, Anthony.